Hiya lovelies! So I'm starting off by cleansing my skin using the Pixi Milky Tonic, and I'm just using that on a cotton pad to make sure my skin's all prepped and clean, ready for makeup. Then I'm going in with Charlotte's Magic Serum Crystal Elixir. I love this to keep my skin nice and hydrated. Then I'm using the Origin's Glow Boosting Gel Moisturiser. I'm then going in with the Dior Backstage Face and Body Foundation, and I'm mixing it with the Face and Body Glow in the shade Universal, just to give a little bit more of a dewiness to the skin. And I'm applying it with the My Kit Co 0.22 My Flawless Face Medium Brush, and I'm buffing and blending this into the skin for a lovely, natural and even coverage. I would highly recommend this foundation, it's amazing. Then I'm going in with one of my favourite concealers, which is of course Tarte Shape Tape, and I'm using the new Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray by Charlotte Tilbury, and I'm damping my Morphe Mini Beauty Sponge just to really help push and melt the product into the skin. And I'm just placing that underneath my eyes and any areas where I need a little bit of extra coverage, so any small little blemishes I have, and cover up any of my acne scarring. I'm then setting it in place with my trusty Laura Mercier translucent setting powder and the My Kit Co My Domed Multi 0.13 brush, and I'm just tapping that underneath the eyes, in the centre of my face, anywhere where I get a little bit oily, and I'm just going to leave that to bake for a little while whilst I move on to the eyes. Next up, I'm using the HD Brows Brow Glue. This is an absolute must-have. It keeps your brows in place all day, and especially if you've got brow lamination like I do, and I do it myself. Check out Beauty by Grace Kelly. Why am I such a loser? But yeah, so it's perfect if you've got brow lamination, as it keeps them brushed up and in place all day long. It's amazing. And I just love to grab a clean dry spoolie and run that through the brows to make sure the hairs are all sitting correctly. I'm then going in with the Huda Beauty Tantour in the shade Light, and the same brush I use for the foundation, which is the My Flawless Face Medium brush, and I'm just buffing that onto the contours of my face just to add some depth and bring some warmth back to the skin. And I'm buffing that on my cheeks, across my nose, the tops of my forehead and along my jawline. And then grabbing my mini sponge and then just sharpening up the contour line to create a more defined look. I also love to tap all over with my sponge just to make sure everything's blended in together. Then picking up the Laura Mercier translucent setting powder, and I'm just creating a little line underneath the contour, and I'm just going to leave that to bake for a few minutes. And I love doing this because I just feel like it really adds a nice definition to the contour but keeps it still looking really natural. Now moving on to eyes, I'm taking the My Kit Co 1.0 My Shade and Shadow Brush with the Plouise Rumour 2 base, and I'm just patting and tapping that all over the lid, taking it right underneath the brow to create a nice blank canvas to work on. Then using one of my favourite palettes, which is the Be Perfect Cosmetics and Stacey Marie Carnival XL Pro palette, I'm taking the shade Keen, which is a gorgeous yellow, and I'm using the My Kit Co 1.12 My Tapered Crease brush, and I'm just buffing and blending that through the crease just to create a lovely hue of yellow. I'm using windscreen wiper motions with mini circular motions, and I'm buffing and blending it up and outwards to create a more blown out effect. I'm then taking a clean My Kit Co 1.12S My Tapered Crease brush, and I'm just blending and buffing any harsh lines away. And then I'm just repeating the same steps on the other eye. And as you can see, I'm pulling upwards and outwards because I want to create a winged shape. Now this next bit I'm so excited about because a lot of people love the Plouise Acid Rain collection, and it was in the shade Limelight and it was discontinued. It was like a gorgeous bright neon green. So I made up my own little concoction, which is with the Plouise Hint of Mint base and the Danessa Myricks Colour Fix Neon Mattes in the shade UFO, and it created pretty much the same colour, like it's a replica. It's such a good mix. It's just like a gorgeous acid green. Oh, it's just to die for. And I'm patting that on with My Kit Co 1.6 My Smooth and Shadow brush, and I'm just working quite quickly because it does dry quite quick. So yeah, as soon as you get it on, just buff it out as quickly as possible because it's going to set and stay in place all day. Then dipping into the Carnival XL Pro palette, I'm taking the shade Ecstasy, and I'm just tapping that all over just to set it in place and then just buff out any harsh lines. This colour matched so perfectly and just gave it even more of a pungent pop to it. And then I'm just going in with the 1.12S My Tapered Crease brush, and I'm just trying my best to soften it out because once that base was set, it wasn't going anywhere. Now onto liner, I'm taking the shade Lights Out, and the My Kit Co 1.21 My Flat Definer brush, and I'm just spraying that with the Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray from Charlotte Tilbury. This just really helps to intensify the eyeshadow and create more of a defined and structured liner, and also this really helps to stop any fallout. And I want the liner to be really lifted and elongate the eye shape. So I'm starting on the outer part of the eye, and I'm just sketching across the lash line, and then start by following up the bottom lash line and working my way up to create my shape. Then picking up the same yellow shade that we used in the crease on a 1.5 My Small Shadow brush. I'm running that along the lower lash line just to create a pop of yellow under the eye. I then wanted to intensify the colour under the eye, so I went in with the Dior Makeup Colour Fix in the shade UFO and Primary Yellow. Then taking the MAC Cosmetics Eye Kohl Pencil in the shade Fascinating, which is just a bright white, I just popped this in my waterline to really open up the eyes. Then going in with some mascara, and I'm using the Nouveau Lashes Enhanced Mascara, and I added quite a few coats on the bottom lashes to really lengthen and add some volume and depth to the lower lash line. And I popped some false lashes on off camera, and I just cut them in half and placed them on the outer edge of the eye just to really lift and elongate the eye shape. I really wanted to brighten up the inner corner of the eye. So first I went in by tapping on the Plouise base in the shade 0, and then I set that in place with a white eyeshadow from Makeup Forever, and I'm using the My Kit Co 1.23 My All Over Shadow Brush. I really wanted to bring the skin back to life, so I wanted to brighten under the under eyes and the centre of the face. So I went in using the Kat Von D Shade and Light Contour Palette in the shades Lucid and Lyric, and I just tapped that on using the My Kit Co My Dome Multi Brush. I then went in with the MAC Mineralised Skin Finish in the shade Medium Golden and the 0.12 My Flat Powder Brush. And I just set all over my face because I wanted to keep the skin looking really nice and matte, because I knew I wanted to add some gloss to the lid. Then taking one of my favourite bronzers by Marc Jacobs, it's the Tantastic in the shade Omega Bronze. And I'm just adding some more depth and dimension. So I'm just going back over the areas that we contoured. And I'm feeling super pale at the minute, so I just wanted to add some extra warmth to the skin and really give my skin a nice bronzed, sculpted look. Then adding some colour to the cheeks, I went in with the Milani Luminoso blush, and I just tapped that onto the apples of my cheeks. And I wanted the cheeks to be a little bit peachier, so I went in with my Anastasia Beverly Hills blush trio in Peachy Love. And I love running a little bit of blush across my nose and onto the tops of my forehead just to make the look really blend in seamlessly. Then moving on to lips, I wanted to create a nice peachy nude. So I went in using the Charlotte Tilbury Lip Cheat in the shade Iconic Nude and the MAC Cosmetics lipstick in the shade Peach Stock. And then I wanted to add a little bit of a gloss to the lip. So I went in with the Anastasia Beverly Hills lip gloss in the shade Undressed, and I just tapped that in to make sure it's all blended. As I wanted the eyes to be the main focus, I didn't want to have any shimmery highlight on the skin. So I went in with the same white eyeshadow that we used in the inner corner of the eye, and I just tapped that down the centre of my nose. I then felt my décolletage was left out, so I added a little bit of the Dior Face and Body Glow and just buffed that on. Then setting everything in place with the Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray by Charlotte Tilbury, just to add a bit of extra hydration to the skin. And I wanted to add another little element to the eye, so I went in with the Dior Makeup Glaze in the shade Crystal, and I just tapped that onto the lid, making sure to be careful that I didn't touch my liner because I didn't want that to smudge. Just look how gorgeous and glowy the lids look. I absolutely love this finishing touch. And that's the finished look. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I really appreciate it. Please give me a follow, please like, please comment, please subscribe, please do everything you gotta do. Take care, keep safe, love you lots, bye!